Hello, guys and
Green
girls.
team's banning someone now.
Welcome to the first tournament that I am actually running. It is the ANU Dota 2 League for 2014, and this
Dire
is the
team
very
ban.
first game of the league. I am so excited to play in this game. I'm also really excited to introduce
Radiant
Coldblood
team
from
banned.
Gamestar, who's going to be co-casting with me. How you doing?
Good day, Only Logic. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me, Only Logic.
Oh,
I'm excited because on the way home from work tonight, I drove down Northbourne Avenue right past the uni. I was in spitting distance, so I might have been cut off by one of these players.
Yeah, true. Yeah, who knows? It's been really
Five
good.
seconds remaining.
Fortunately, the university is
Bad dudes
really
banning
happy with
someone
what's going
now.
on here. I've had great support from players, from authorities. It's been absolutely amazing, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens in this comp. Why? Because the grand prize is an entry. It is an invitational entry, I should say, into the Defence of the Australians.
And we did meet at the in-house finals over at
5 seconds
Defence of the
remaining.
Australians. It was a great time. Looking forward to the next one. So
Radiant team
big
pick.
things up for grabs here because that is a prestigious tournament. Who did you play in the 1v1, Only Logic? We had a 1v1 tourney on the day. I've forgotten who you played.
Oh, my first game was against Kaza, and I lost.
Oh, that's right, the
Dire
Shadow
team
Fiend.
pick.
Where if you
That
get behind
was
by a smidge, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, that it was just I noticed he had the invis as soon as it triggered, but it was just that split second too late. But hey, that's what you get. Let's introduce these teams. The two teams here we have is Team Nebula, played by Mushu, Toadstool, Miss Scarlet, Hoda, and Little Red, and playing against them is Team RAD-ICAL. Or Team RAD. They were ex-Team Omega in the MASCA Cyber Wars. For anybody that is following the ANU
Dire
scene,
team pick.
and first couple of bands banned by Ember Spirit ban and Lycanthorpe ban coming up from Rad, and Nature's Prophet ban and Darkseer ban coming up from Team Nebula there, which are standard bans, I guess, except for maybe the Ember Spirit.
Yeah, in the Star Ladder, we've seen a lot of the Lycan and the Ember Spirit has been incredibly strong. That's in both America and in Europe. Ember Spirit, very, very strong mid, particularly once he starts picking up items. Lycan, again, pushes very, very hard with the Vladimir's offering and his Wolves and,
5
Desolator
seconds remaining.
Necronomicon. No one wants to deal with that. Nature's Prophet, he's a jerk. No one wants to deal with that. Darkseer is an interesting
Reserve
ban.
time.
He can be a very strong offlaner, considering he can just go around jungling and stacking all day and still CS because of the Ionic Shell. A lot of the focus in the Australian meta has been on banning out those offlaners, and I mean it's shifted away from Clockwork and Timbersaw into more of the bristleback bans, but even he's snuck through this one here, Logic. So I'm wondering if the Bat Rider is going to be picked up because he has surged in popularity lately.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised to see a Bat Rider. I'm not really sure what the meta is going to be, because
Radiant team pick.
just the Australian meta scene, as we see from the teams in the last Defence of the Australians, or even as we saw in the Pez Cup, it really does change. Not from season to season, but from game to game. And you see these new picks. For example, Templar Assassin is one that we haven't seen in the pro scene for a very long time. It isn't regularly in the pro scene. And because of this huge change in the Australian meta, it's really hard to be able to properly call what the teams want to play. With this Invoker pick mid, knowing the mid player, Miss Scarlet on the
5
team
seconds
Team
remaining.
Nebula, I'll know that they're probably going to go for a team fight
The
build,
green
and that's picked up
team's
again by the
banning
Venomancer
someone
and that
now.
amazing Gale.
Yeah, and not to mention Poison Over, it actually dishes out a massive amount of damage over the duration. But Invoker fits perfectly in what you're saying about a teamfight hero because his Quas Wex build has become insanely popular. The Tornado into the EMP, which drains a
5
heck of a lot of
seconds
mana.
remaining.
So it's particularly useful against heroes like Bristleback that don't have the largest of
Reserve
mana
time.
pools. Yeah, so with those two heroes, we can already see that coming into, or
Bad
their
dudes
plan
banning
coming into
someone
fruition.
now.
The Magnus ban makes sense because they don't want to be initiated on.
Mm.
Wouldn't be surprised to see something like a Naga Siren banned out as well, but they could potentially ignore it because the Templar Assassin probably going mid, and Nagas these days
Radiant
love to go
team
mid
banned.
and farm up a Radiance.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the Visage ban coming out by Radical there, another one of those understandable
Dire
bans,
team
purely
ban.
because if you've got a Venomancer and then another slow and a tri-lane with any solid damage dealing hero, PA with those crits, Juggernaut with even at level 1 you can go for an easy gank with someone like Visage and Venomancer. You definitely got a really strong tri-lane with that Visage having already picked a slow, so definitely an understandable ban there. The next ban coming up by
5
Mirana is
seconds remaining.
a couple of offlane heroes actually. The Magnus and the Mirana, they're both
Reserve
heroes
time.
which I'd probably be happy to see any of these teams play. I can really,
Dire team
I
pick.
sort of understand the Magnus ban there, but I would have thought that maybe Team Nebula would have wanted to have taken a Magnus so that they could get that teamfight initiation into that Venomous Gale, into that Poison Nova, into that EMP. But it turns out they banned it. Looks like they definitely don't want to be initiated on. They want to keep a tight spread and control the teamfights themselves.
It may have been an issue of where do you stick a Magnus, because they definitely prioritise the Invoker pickup, and both of them prefer to be in the mid lane and get as much experience
seconds
as
remaining.
humanly possible. So they may have just said, well, we're not going to take it, we don't want you having it, because
Reserve
which is
time.
showing a lot of respect to the Magnetor. Not surprised to see the
Radiant's
Mirana banned
team
out.
pick.
She's been incredibly popular, particularly in the Australian meta that we were just talking about ever since 6.79. It's pretty annoying when you're a noob like me to play against the Sacred Arrow, because it'll home in on you. And it's funny logic. When I was casting the Indian tournament, they loved Pugna. They fought over him every single game. I must have cast at least 40 games. So it's interesting how it varies. And we have a Shadow Shaman pickup.
Ah, Shadow Shaman. I love Shadow Shaman. He is my best hero both in stats
5
and how I
seconds
feel I
remaining.
play him. I love Shadow Shaman because of his pushing ability, because of his counter pushing ability,
Reserve
because
time.
of his ganking ability, because of his everything.
Dire
Shadow
team
Shaman
pick.
really has everything. Something that I see about this Shadow Shaman, especially with this Bristleback here, is that I could potentially see something that Radical have done in the past and do a lot and are known for doing really well, and that's an offensive tri-lane. We could see a solo Bristleback, a Templar Assassin mid, very strong roaming, and Shadow Shaman pushing into that very offensive tri-lane purely because of Shadow Shaman's potential, what is it, 7-second lockdown on a single hero?
Yeah, I know the Hex has a massive duration with a single point. So, and then yeah,
Radiant's team
2.75 on the Hex. So even at level 3, he can nuke you for 140 damage and then lock you down for 4 seconds, which is massive.
Yeah, and that especially like with a life stealer there, you've got two tanky heroes. Bristleback can play carry, life stealer can play back carry, Bristleback can play offlane, life stealer can play offlane. So you've got really good interchangeability there. An offensive tri lane is something that Radical may well be running with these selected heroes.
Yeah, and I really like the Lifestealer pickup in response to the Lion,
5
because
seconds
of
remaining.
course the magic immunity afforded to him by Rage will stop the Hex, it will stop the Finger of Death, and
time.
well, Earthspike he'll just completely ignore it. So I think that's a really intelligent pick, and yeah, like you say, the Shadow Shaman lockdown into open wounds, it's a heck of a lot of both soft and hard CC. And Bristle, they're happy doing an aggressive tri-lane, because Bristle, he does fine in a 1v3, he excels in a 1v1. So Team Nebula here, I'm wondering if they're going to pick up a strong 1v1 offlaner themselves, and they do exactly
There
that
it
with their
is.
Windrunner.
Bad dudes banning
Yeah,
someone now.
Windrunner, known to be a very strong offlane hero on her own. Not played so much in the offlane, not necessarily after the patch, after the 6.79 patch, but between the 6.8 patch and the 6.9 patch. Windrunner saw very little offlane play because of those huge buffs towards the level 1
seconds
spells and the
remaining.
gank ability of the heroes. Windrunner's only real escape is Windrun in the offlane. She's not particularly tanky.
Reserve
She's
time.
got an unreliable stun. She's got a little bit of range to get kills, but if you want tanky and if you want solid escape, you get someone like Clockwork. Recently, however, Wind Ranger has seen a lot more play in the offlane, and I really like it because I mean, those shackles. If you can get a good shackle, especially on a multi-hero, it looks good, it feels good, and it does so much for the team.
I love it when they'll do a shackle on a creep and it attaches to a hero that's way out of range of applying it normally, because that is very, very swaggy.
Radiant
And then of
team
course the
banned.
power shot does a surprising amount of damage, particularly early on, particularly if she gets some easy XP, which 1v1ing a melee hero, not going to be too difficult for her. I was casting a all-female tournament just a week ago, and the only Australian team, they picked up an off-lane Windrunner, and it did superbly. She was dominating.
5 seconds
She,
remaining.
I think it was the same her team did,
Dire team pick.
an aggressive tri-lane, and she was very happy to go against, I think it was a Timbersaw, and, well, Timbersaw is afraid of trees, and Windrunner kind of knocked that idea home. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what happens here. We talked about the Venomous Gale and Lion provides a lot of CC similar to the Shadow Shaman. The Shadow Shaman's gonna have to be careful he doesn't block his bristle back in with the Serpent Wards, because
True.
I doubt the bristle's gonna go phase boots. So actually, phase boots lets you go through the wards. I didn't know that
5 seconds
until
remaining.
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah, phase boots lets you go through all creatures, and it's one of the
Reserve
things that
time.
people don't realize is that they can actually use phase boots for really basic lane control. For example, if you're trying to outlast hit as a melee hero, you can actually use your phase boots to go through a creep, get an easy last hit, and then come back. And that way you don't have to go around him, which gives a lot of opportunities for an easy gank setup.
Okay, so it looks as though Team Radical are imagining that Windrunner's going to go into a carry
Radiant
position
team pick.
because they ban out the Slug. I mean, Slug can go safe lane as well, but 1v1ing a Bristle would be insanely easy for Slug. So they want to take that one out of the pool, and the Shadow Fiend ban. Oh no, sorry, hang on, that's Shadow Demon.
Shadow
Always get
Demon.
them mixed up. Nebula banned that one out, which is that would just complement the Shadow Shaman Lifestealer perfectly. So a smart ban out there. Sand King picked up. I do love watching me some SK. That's just getting more kill potential added on there. Can also easily go into the jungle,
5 seconds
which
remaining.
can't be said for Veno and Lion. They have a little bit of a more difficult time.
And once again, it adds to this tri-lane potential now that you've got a Sand King and a Shadow Shaman. You've got a double stun there, and you've got Lifestealer, which doesn't really have to do much in a tri-lane, because he won't die even if he's solo. I mean, he could die if he's ganked solo, but in a tri-lane potential, he can just walk up and right-click and be really super aggressive. And Team Nebula response with the Dragon Knight, probably a hard carry Dragon Knight, another one of those really tanky, really aggressive heroes. If Team Nebula can hold off the offensive tri-lane that I'm guessing Radical is going to run, and they can hold that Dragon Knight down and then set up for those team fights, then their team fights will be much stronger, as long as there's not amazing placement of those serpent wards by Cax there, J Cax there.
Yeah, there is a great amount of AoE on the side of Radical when you factor in the Quill Spray stacking up from the Bristle. Sand King is an AoE monster.
Oh my God,
Even the
it's
Templar
almost time.
can splash her attacks. Shadow Shaman, he has a bit of splash, and then Lifestealer, his only AoE is bursting out of someone, which would be viable, using that on the Bristle to burst out in the middle of a fight. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be down to Nebula to have their positioning on point. Now, with the Dragon Knight pickup, I'm wondering if that's going to go mid and they'll have a safe lane Invoker. Or are they doing something a bit funky here?
Yeah, could be a safe lane Invoker. That's actually a really good point. I'd like to see us. I've actually seen, the first time I saw this was at the last Defense of the Australians, but I saw an offlane Invoker, a really, really solid offlane Invoker, where he just comes right into the jungle, into the side shop here, buries himself inside the trees in the side shop, and just leeches off of experience. And this worked really, really well because he built Exhort up really quickly and actually got the first blood, getting a kill on a hero using Sunstrike.
That would be very, very sneaky of him. To do
So
that,
not only
getting
does he
the,
get free experience, but he also got a free kill and the free bonus gold from the start of the game by getting that early blood.
Okay, so thus far he or she, more likely, unless it's a troll, has picked up the Blades of Attack, which means she wants to make up for the lack of Exort's damage because she has skilled in the Quas, and she is heading mid lane. Well, we'll say he because Invoker is quite a feminine guy, quite a guy nonetheless by his deep voice. So I like the Quas start off against the TA because, of course, once she picks up the Refraction and the range and the Side Blades, she can hurt like an absolute truck, and he's going to want that health regen. It looks like we will, for now, we'll imagine imagine it's the Quaswex Invoker with the Tornado and the EMP. But, of course, in the Star Ladder, we've seen some Quas Exhort Invokers where they rely on the Cold Snap and the Forge Spirits pushing very early. And, I mean, with the rest of the Nebula side, they've got some decent pushing power, so that could be a likely possibility. But by taking the Blades of Attack, that tells me that she's going to be going for a Quaswex build and is making up for that damage early on with a quick phase boots.
Let's introduce the teams really quickly. On the side of the Radiant here, we've got Miss Scarlet in mid playing that Invoker, an offlane Hoda. An offlane Hoda Raw Bear playing the Wind Ranger, and then we've got the Trilon on the bottom, Toadstool the Dragon Knight hard carry, Little Red playing the Lion, and Mushu on that Venomancer.
Okay, and it looks like they're going to go ahead and prove you wrong, as players love to do to us casters, and send their Bristle into the offlane. So, representing Team Radical here in the kickoff of the only Logic ANU tourney, we have Big Cow as the Bristle, not quite a cow at the moment. We have Virgil 7, which is trademarked on the TA in the mid, already getting a bit of harass down. And for Radicals, offlane, well, actually Windrunner's going to get knocked up here. Will it be enough? The Shackle will come in, and Windrun has easily run out, and the open wound slows her to a crawl. First Blood will go over to the Shadow Shaman, beautifully played, and we'll introduce them with their 52nd First Blood. We have J-Cax picking up the First Blood. He's already picked up his boots. We have Sync Ferenza on the Lifestealer, and with some nice flanking from the Sand King, it will be Bloodstruck, who is the only one to have tagged up, I think.
Yeah, that was very good play by this tri-lane here, and you can see because Cax already has that bonus movement speed, he can harass a lot better than that Wind Ranger can, and that's proving to be quite good for the Dire team, for Radical there. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Virgil clearly outlaning Miss Scarlet here, but getting a little bit of harass, however, popping that refraction and not having any more of that harass on him.
That's actually the weakness you pointed out earlier with the Windrunner, that she's not tanky. Her only escape is Windrun, and when it only lasts a paltry 2.5 seconds, which is Shadow Shaman's Shackle, it's she's not going to be living very long, as we saw there. So the downside of the Windrunner off lane going to strike against them. As down at the bottom lane, we'll have a look at the farm. Bristle already sitting on 2, which is great for a melee hero in the first wave. We with the Lion and the Veno, and then coming in with the Dragon Tail, which he's already leveled up. They've got some decent lockdown and damage, but with Bristleback already having the Bristleback skill, it's going to be much more difficult to take him down there.
No, it's definitely the build you want to go. The Nasal Goo is quite good if you want to put a lot of pressure on them, but it looks like Bristleback just wants to soak up the experience here. He's even using his Quill Spray for max range to not get into any sort of danger, to try and get a few last hits, and it's causing him to lose some mana, but I don't think he really minds. As long as he gets that farm, he's already 3.5, so he's doing very, very strongly in that offlane.
Yeah, despite dying, the Windrunner is will double his creep score, but we would expect that with her ranged advantage. Net worth is showing that she's 200 gold poorer than Mr. Bristle over here, and he's actually going to go over and try and contest the creep pulling over here, or at least try and soak up some XP, which is a change we saw going into the 6.79 when they changed the range on it. He's going to get hexed up here, and does get Venomous Galed. His Bristleback is proccing there. They're going to get the Dragon Tail off. He does have a few charges in the wand. The Dragon Knight taking a lot of damage. He's going to be forced to back off here. 4 stacks of the Quill Spray thanks to that Bristleback passive, and he will be absolutely fine. Does have a healing salve as well. In the mid lane, the supports have roamed in. The Shackle will go off onto Scarlet. Tower being tanked up by the Refraction shielded TA, and she will get the last hit on this one. The supports of Radical playing phenomenally.
That's absolutely amazing play by Radical there. Didn't even notice the transition into the mid. Thank you for picking up on that, actually. And you can see that, you know, they're just They know what they're doing. They know their priorities. They know that the bristleback is fine. They know that mid might be an issue. Top lane has already been ganked, and that is just amazing play by Radical there to rotate those supports, knowing that that life stealer is pretty much uncontested.
Yeah, no, there's not a lot Windrunner can do against him at this point, or even if she was ahead, it'd be hard to take him down by herself. Good guy Virgil throws a charge of his bottle onto Bloodstuck as he moves out of there, and then picks up an illusion rune for himself to refill it anyway. So a TA that gets ahead like this, very difficult to deal with because she will hit like a truck and she will hit quickly, she'll hit from far away, and she's soon going to pick up the Psionic Trap, which makes rune control all the more easy. So, Miss Scarlet is getting close to the phase boots, getting denied quite heavily though. She's at 8 denies, Invoker only 5 and 3, so having a big amount of trouble. But, as we pointed out before, the utility of the Tornado EMP Invoker is incredibly powerful. And then Cold Snap, very powerful as well. So, even though he's behind at the moment, TA's going to have to get a Blink and a Desolator before she can match that that raw team fighting power of just the Invoker throwing out his skills.
Yeah, definitely. And this is something that you definitely see about the discrepancy of these two teams. Nebula is a new team. Radical
up at the top lane, sorry to interrupt you, we do have the shackle going off. It's more of a zoning shackle because a power shot came through onto poor Naya Taya Shadow Shaman here, and it did a lot of damage, as you can see. But nothing going on from that, so sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's all right. Wind Ranger trying to get a kill of opportunity there maybe, and unfortunately not succeeding. I was stating that Team Radical was actually Team Omega in the MASCA Cyber Wars tournament last year, so they do have a little bit more experience. They have played competitively before, and you can see there's actually counter warding here, a little bit late counter warding by Team Nebula here, who are the newer team. And this sort of rotation here, you can see that Toadstool, the Dragon Knight, he's completely uncontested as well. I mean, maybe Bristleback could make a move on him, but he's tanky enough to be able to stun him and walk off if the worst situation were to arise.
Yeah, no, definitely. DK free farming is fairly scary when he starts to pick up those items, but Lifestealer free farming even more efficiently, so that's also going to problem. And then TA is dominating the Invoker in the mid, and poor Windrunner very behind on the experience, which is not something you want with someone with as strong level skills as there. We have TA roaming down here, Logic.
Yeah, we've got TA. He's going to actually initiate on Mushu and deal a lot of damage there. Pull off the trap, able to get one more hit. All he needs is one more hit, but the Venomous Gale has come out. Is that enough? Which one's going to run out first? It looks like the Venomous Gale is going to stay, so Virgil isn't going to be able to get the kill onto the Venomancer there, who did really panic. I would have much rather have seen that Venomancer walk around the trees and come back to the... come this way towards the tier 3 tower, and that way maybe they could even turn their fight around. But as long as the Venomancer was able to get out of that situation, that means that he stays alive.
Yeah, well played by Mushu, not going to feed the TA, and that does buy his Invoker a little bit of space. He's doubled his CS and is starting to pick up the XP. I don't think Miss Scarlet's going to be picking up a Midas anytime soon, so the XP not going to be going the best there. But you're getting her getting him a bit of space, definitely worth it in the end. An exchange down the bottom, 1v2 Bristleback, just having a field day here. Do you think that something like a Clockwork would have been better over a Windrunner, or do you agree with the Windrunner pick?
I'm not sure. Once again, I think Nebula's thought is to go into the mid game and see just how strong their team fight can be, and try and
coming top.
Onto that. Oh yes, there is actually a smoke gank. Scarlet and Mushu, they're actually not going to come in from the jungle. They're going to come in through the creeps. But there are 4 here, so maybe they are thinking about pushing this. The problem is that they've got no vision on where the enemy heroes are, so they're just going to try and hope that they run into someone, and they've run into 3 and 3! Tornado is going to take 3, but unfortunately it's not going to follow up. They decide to back up there, unfortunately, and then trying to get a stun onto the Bloodstruck, trying to get a shackle, and it doesn't succeed. And that gank potentially had very strong initiation, but they just didn't follow up on it.
Yeah, you saw the damage of that Tornado coming out, a big 153 damage, but Bloodstruck did a brilliant job of disjointing the Invoker auto attack, which would have procced the Cold Snap. He did have a Life Stealer inside of him, so they had that ready, But yeah, in the end, they do get away with it. So it looks like they will push, like you said. But I really like this move from Nebula here, Logic, because the DK doing absolutely fine against the Bristle at this point, or well as fine as a melee can do against Bristle. They're neck and neck in the CS. And then mid, Invoker's not getting much anyway, so they're going to try and apply pressure up top. The Lifestealer just picked up a Midas, so he's gone for the long-term economic investment, and they're going to try and make him suffer for it, but their mid tower falling very, very low, forces the Veno to TP in here, and he will push that back for the time being. Virgil does have a haste rune, so just going to be sprinting around for a little bit, and Miss Scarlet going to waddle back to the mid lane.
Yeah, sorry to my viewers there who were watching through Dota TV. I was sending my mic through on OBS, but because of issues with Dota that a lot of casters seem to be aware of, sorry, my voice wasn't actually coming through in Dota 2 TV, so it actually has come through now. Virgil is actually harassing here in the mid lane, trying to get Mushu here just by using those psionic traps, and doing a really good job of it. I mean, Mushu's already half health just with a couple of easy hits.
Yeah, poor Veno, not known for his durability, and TA definitely known for damage, so having
and a little bit of durability as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, fair enough. She is known for being very durable in short bursts. Although, oh, actually, at the top lane, I don't think there's much they can do about this one, with a nice Burrow Strike initiation by the Sand King, and of course the Shadow Shaman eagerly following up with the crowd control, actually going for Shackle over the Ethershock level, which we see a lot of the time. Invoker going to be sprinting his way up to try and push this one off, but it's leaving the mid T1 wide open. The Lifestealer even faster now. Actually, at the bottom lane, we're going to miss a tower dive by Big Cow on the Bristleback, who's going to go under the tower, take down line, and sprint his way out. DK is picked up. Popped the ultimate. Nice tornado comes out from the Invoker. Dragon Tail will be used as well. Nice Shackle comes out from the Windrunner, and she secures the kill for herself. They pay for it with their mid T1, but beautiful takedown on the Bristle. Going to get Windrunner back into the game as far as Golden XP goes, because a Windrunner with strong skills going to contribute a lot. But will she pay for it now? The Shadow Shaman with his level 3 Shackle will come out, and I don't think... Oh, jeez, the TA doing so much damage. Poor Bloodstruck not able to secure that one for himself there. And a nice pick off by Nebula, but they pay for it quite severely, and they may not be finished yet.
Little Red's going to have to run, he's going to have to get away from Virgil, which he does succeed in doing, but it looks like their mid tier 1 tower has already gone down. The top tower, tier 1, is being pushed out by the Lifestealer that hasn't been contested next to at all, so now they're going to try and defend this mid tower while their top tower falls, and Toadstool is in the lane here, and he's not actually pushing this tower, he's not actually trying to counter push this tower, which I'm not sure I agree with, because Toadstool is now getting absolutely no farm here. And if we look at the net worth, 3 are in the favor of RAD-ICAL, Lifestealer, closely followed by Templar Assassin, and reasonably distantly, but still followed by Bristleback there, with higher net worth than the enemy carry. Now, when an off lane has a higher net worth than your safe lane, tri-lane carry, you've got to start being worried about what's going on.
Yeah, particularly when a support is higher level than the mid and the offlaner for the Nebula guys. Bloodstruck doing a good job on the Sand King. The blink has been finished up by the TA, so once they get a blink on their Sand King as well, they will be looking to engage fights whenever they feel like. We have an invisible Venomancer running around. He does pick up the rune.
Him pausing there on the stairs might have let Bloodstruck know that there's something really odd, because it did block his movement, and Bloodstruck is going to come back into it. And is he going to come back into the river? Is there going to be a slow? Yes, looks like they are going to go in on him. They are going to follow up with the slow. Wards are placed down, and Miss Scarlet is going to try and use it, but that's alright. The Invoker still ends up taking that down, and that's a waste of the Shadow Shaman wards there.
Oh, split in half there. We have the open wounds coming out from the Lifestealer, but nice work by Little Red. Power Shot will come through, misses in the end. But that was brilliantly done by Little Red there. He perfectly stacked his CC so that the Sand King had barely any time to try and disengage there. And then they managed to give that kill over to Miss Scarlet, which is by far the most optimal situation there to try and get him back in. So brilliantly done there. And then again, Little Red making the Lifestealer fall back as well from poor squishy Venomancer. So a nice pick off by Nebula, definitely something they needed.
in the bottom lane, there's a rotation, there's a 4-man rotation, and TP's in. Radical has tried to go in. Bloodstruck has actually stunned up as well, but the MP is going to go off and drain a lot of mana. All they need is a few more last hits. The Venomous Gale does reach Bloodstruck. 2 more last hits. It will come. Shadow Shaman comes in. He ends up helping out and killing the Invoker, and now there's a stun up on the Wind Ranger, who's got no mana for a run. Yes, pops a wand, runs out of there, and is actually able to escape. Big Cow's going to come under tower and is going to be stunned, but Bristleback is tanky. Toadstool is just going to have to chase, and he doesn't have enough. He doesn't actually. It's off cooldown, but they are able to turn this around and get a couple of kills. That's 2 for 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, no, that was brilliantly done by Toadstool. The stun under the tower on the Bristle. If Bristle was at all killable, they would have got it there. So a nice turnaround by Nebula, but they're losing their tier 1 at top. That was a 4v5, and they still struggled there. A couple of really nice shackles coming out by the awful named Windrunner. I'll have a go at it. Hoda. Hodor
would be enough, I think.
Hodor. Okay, that'll do for me. So the tier 1s at the top and the mid have now gone down. The one at the bottom not looking the healthiest either. Templar Assassin with double damage rune. This is incredibly dangerous. Nebula are going to have to get the heck out. They have to somehow deal with this lifesteal who's TPing in. And I just wanted to point out, Logic, that the response by... Oh, actually, I have to get back to you because they are engaging on the Bristle here at the bottom lane, but they're going to turn it around on Toadstool. He's going to try and TP out. Have they... Oh, Shadow Shaman barely gets his shackles back up in time to CC him. That TP scroll was so close to popping off. And now the rest of Radical are coming in here. EMP not going to do a whole heck of a lot as Virgil going to TP under the tower with the DD rune popped. They do not have a hope in hell. Nasal Screw going to come down on the Invoker and slow him down, reducing his armor for the TA to blow him the hell up. And 3 deaths go the way of Nebula. Their tier 1 surely going to follow. And as soon as a lifesteal joins the fight, they're in a lot of trouble.
And once again, they take down this tower. Now, this is the point in the game, because when they had their team fight there, this was a bit of a waste of the Serpent Wards being placed up there. But we can see the potential from the last fight. Oh, actually a kill there on the Wind Ranger as well.
Yeah, that was a bit of a bait by the Sand King. He came in low health, and he engaged, and then suddenly a light blue TP came in. Windrunner tried to windrun off, but... yeah, you can see how that went.
yeah, unfortunate for that Wind Ranger there. This is the point of the game in which it can change. We saw from that team fight there, when it was all even down in the bottom lane, we saw from the team fight there that Nebula does have the potential to change this game around in the team fight. Is it too late at 4-11? I don't think it was too late at 4-7, but now with those 4 extra kills, it might have been too late, and they are going for Roshan. They are going to be able to take this Roshan down reasonably quickly with their huge damage potential and great tankiness. Roshan falls reasonably quickly, and Lifestealer is now not only tanky as all hell, but he is now immortal.
God, the damage dealers of Radical are just so durable. It's very difficult to break through, now even harder with the strength carry Lifestealer having an Aegis. So yeah, I wanted to point out that the TPs of Nebula in the team fight before last to get down the bot were actually pretty spot on. They immediately had 3 go down, and that actually turned out as well as you could hope in this situation for them. Psionic Trap going to be popped on the Windrunner. Nice impale there from Little Red Serpent. Ward does go off, but Open Wounds will spell Lion's demise as the Sand King ultimate comes in. Epicenter obliterates them. The Toadstool Dragon Knight going to get Nasal Good on. He will fall, as well as poor Invoker forced to sprint to the high ground there, trying to work on an Orchid Malevolence because he just cannot afford a Yule Scepter. The wards staying here in the trees, the poor Plague Wards, one of the few sole survivors of the fight there, as Big Cow just standing guard over the push in the mid. The tier 2 is, well, the MP goes off, but the TA is going to blink forward, sets off a Psionic Trap on the Invoker, forces him to pop the Ghost. No, he didn't pop Ghost Walk, he just went invisible for some reason. And yeah, so the TPs of Nebula were spot on, but I think they're starting to fall too far behind.
Yeah, it's now gotten to that point. Basically, the mid game pretty much relied on that one team fight, but it looks like they do want to bring it back They do smoke up just as the TPs come in from the tower, and they signal that they want to go into the jungle. And if they do go in there, they might even find themselves the best hero that they can kill, that Lifestealer, if he continues jungling there. He's not actually going to jungle, he's actually going to go all the way back into top lane. But Bristleback is also there. Bristleback not ideal, but he doesn't actually have any mana for Quill Spray. They're just going to keep moving into this jungle. Maybe they might find a hero. They've seen the Bristleback, but they know that he's going back to tower, and they know that Lifestealer is up in the top lane, so that's where they're going to roam to. And if they get a kill on this Lifestealer, it might not, but it might turn the game around.
Forcing an Aegis pop and then killing him anyway would be absolutely brilliant for them. They've got the right idea here. You need to make pickoffs to get back into the game, but the Lifestealer doesn't actually have any slots for a TP scroll, but his magic immunity will stop him getting CC'd there. He is going to be locked up onto the creep, and the Cold War will go down from the Invoker, but the TP in from just the Bristle is going to force all 5 members of Nebula back here. Toadstool falling behind as he's working on his Shadow Blade, not too far from it. EMP and Impale going to go on Big Cow, but he laughs them off. Rage has been popped by the Lifestealer. Now TA is in the mix, tanking up the tower, but is going to get shackled to the tree. Mechanism will keep her alive for the time being. Shadow Serpent Ward's going to come down. Desolator has been finished by the TA. Poor Shadow Shaman tanking up the tower. The Dragon's Breath goes out from the Dragon Knight, but this Lifestealer does have Aegis, so they're aiming the wrong person. Epicenter comes in, blows up the Venomancer, and Dark Roar has nowhere to go. The Lifestealer picks up a triple. They do not lose a single man apart from the hero Shadow Shaman. Aegis will survive the battle, and the Serpent Ward's even clearing out the tower there. Brilliantly done by Radical.
Amazing play by Radical there. They get 5. Oh, Shadow Shaman does end up dying.
Yeah. He was tanking the tower while his whole team blinked forward and sprinted.
Fair enough. Either way, 5 for 0 there ultimately. Oh, and immediately another. Already they've gone in. They've blinked in. Already gotten a kill on a quickly respawning Lion, and this is just really amazing play. Hoda's going to use his Windrun to actually get into the fight, and this looks like he's going to immediately regret it. The right clicks are going to come out by Virgil. It only takes 2 with that Desolator. 2 kills to take down that Windrunner, and now they're doing the pub thing of running in one at a time, and it's definitely not going to save them. But either way, I cannot see Nebula coming back from this fantastic play by Rad here.
No, yeah, Radical have done brilliantly. Sonic Trap will get popped in the base there. There's only one structure remaining outside the base of Nebula, and it's down at the bottom. It's coming under fire from the creeps, but the pressure is continuing to be applied there. Nice rage pop by Forenza, just going to be sprinting in the aftermath of the meatball. Is 4,100 gold on the Bristle here. He could go for really anything that he wants. DD Rune going to be scouted out for Virgil. Net worth 12,300 on the Lifestealer. The highest on Nebula is a 4,400 Lifestealer. Less than a third. That really spells the pace of this game.
Yeah, definitely. If we take a look at the XP and gold graphs, XP is at almost 25,000, about 22,000 in experience there. And gold is at about 25,000, both in favor of Radical, and it's just steadily declined, and it's getting worse and worse. Big Cow is actually going to try and make a move on Miss Scarlet now, but seeing whether he goes to walks, he's just going to walk off, and they are going to blink into this Hoda. Oh, 1 click takes down his health almost immediately, and Big Cow comes in and finishes up with a Quill Spray.
Geez, so much physical damage coming in, and magic, but when you got a Desolator double damage rune TA... Oh, and actually he's going to have a Lifestealer inside of him. Or side of her, rather. I'm pretty sure TA is a girl. Going to have a blink forward here now. The Infest Bomb does a massive amount. Veno going to quickly fall as well. Quill Spray comes in from the Bristle, but it is not needed in the end. Actually, Nasal Goo reduces armor as well, and the GG's called by Nebula at the 22-minute mark, which is, I think, very respectable.
Very well played there by Rad, and they're going to get the first game in the defense, in the ANU defense, the Australian defense of the Ancients tournament, Dota 2 tournament. I just don't know what to say about this. This was reasonably even at the beginning. I mean, Radical definitely set their foot down at the start with the first blood and getting those early kills, but just as it looked like Nebula was starting to get a couple of kills, they got 4 kills in reasonably quick succession. Radical just said, right, if that's the game you want to play, we're going to play it better, and they just turned the team fights around and just...
Lifestealer, stop farming and come to us. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Lifestealer with a hand of Midas. I mean, he is. Look at this farm is not a late game Lifestealer. Not by far. I mean, he's got a stout shield. He's got a drums. The best thing he's got is an armlet.
Yeah. So
And
it was definitely Virgil 7 was definitely the name of the game here. Just obliterated from the start. Really showed what happens when you get ahead on an assassin. 10-0 and 5 at the end. He'd have to be my nomination for MVP, but I think the supports of Radical really had a big hand in it as well. They had
yeah,
their presence felt everywhere.
yeah, they definitely tied in the game. And secured a couple of crucial kills. The first kill in top lane, the
They were
second kill.
they were the only ones who died as well, apart from
Yeah,
Bristle.
yeah, true. Bristle dying
So they
once.
laid their life on the line.
And that's definitely what a support should be doing. And there's just amazing play. There's no doubt about it. Radical really doing a good job. Seeing as this is what the first game, this is 1-0 to Radical. More games will be played tomorrow. Thank you very much, Cold Blood from Gamester, for joining me.
Oh, it was great fun. Looking forward to joining you for some Dota 2 tomorrow. I wanted to say, despite Nebula getting, I think they'd agree they got spanked here, but I feel like they had some really good decisions throughout the game. They were doing smoke ganks at good times. They were TPing with good reaction, and their skill usage was fairly decent as well. So I think they're actually a decent team. They just were outclassed here. We got to hand
Yeah,
it to
definitely.
them. They had some decent skill here. Some great shackles, some great impales, some great tornadoes, and
Yeah.
poor Mushu 1v1ing a TA and living to tell the tale.
Yeah, very, very close kill there, but good responses by the team, especially in the TP supports. But I think when it came down to the team fights, even with the team fight lineup that the Radiant had, that the Team Nebula had, the Sand King's ultimate was pretty much enough to really secure team fights because Shadow Shaman wards weren't particularly in the best position for team fights in a lot of the team fights. And although Bristleback definitely had a lot of impact with his Quill Spray, Lifestealer, Templar Assassin, Bristleback, not necessarily team fight heroes. But they really brought it together. They communicated well. They knew who to target, and it's just when you just outplay a team, you get this point. However, there are still 5 other teams in the league that we haven't seen yet. The next game will be tomorrow at 7 p.m. Will you be joining me for that game?
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, then I'm really looking forward to seeing that game and seeing all of the other teams that are that are likely to play in this. It will actually be Boys versus Nebula tomorrow at 7 p.m. and I'm really looking forward to that.
Love to see how Nebula do against a different team.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much for joining me, Cold Blood. I'm Only Logic. Thank you very much for joining me if you've joined me on the Twitch, and we'll see you tomorrow.